The face in the corner. I didn't dare turn around right away. My whole body went stiff, my fingers gripping the blanket so tightly they ached. The creak behind me was followed by a slow, dragging step. My mind scrambled for any excuse, Dad getting a glass of water, Mom checking on me, but the sound was wrong. Too heavy for Mom, too slow for Dad. Finally, I turned. In the far corner of my room, just beyond the reach of my lamp's dead bulb, something was standing. At first, I thought it was just the outline of my coat hanging from the chair, but as my eyes adjusted, the shape shifted. A pale face hovered in the dark. Its skin was so white it almost glowed, stretched too tightly over its cheekbones. The eyes were the worst, two empty pits, black and bottomless, and yet somehow staring straight at me. Its mouth was slightly open, showing teeth that were too long and too many. I couldn't move. It didn't blink. It didn't breathe. It just watched. Then, without a sound, it tilted its head the same way the shadow on the stairs had tilted its head that first night. And slowly, impossibly slowly, it smiled. The smile spread wider than a human mouth should go, the skin at the corners tearing just slightly. My stomach turned. I wanted to scream, but the sound wouldn't come out. Suddenly, the thing jerked forward, only an inch, but enough to break me. I threw the blanket over my head like I was 5 years old again, shaking, telling myself that if I couldn't see it, it couldn't see me. When I finally gathered the courage to peek out, the corner was empty. The next morning, there was a mark on the floor where it had been standing, a dark, wet stain in the shape of 2 bare feet. I didn't tell my parents. I didn't even tell Owen at school. But I started to notice something strange in the daylight. The house never seemed to get fully bright inside. Even with the curtains open and the sun pouring in, the corners stayed dim, as if they were holding on to the night. That night, I moved my bed so it wasn't against the wall anymore. I thought maybe that would help. But at 2:13 a.m., the scratching returned, louder now, and coming from 2 walls at once. And when I looked toward the corner, the face was there again. The thing in the ceiling. I didn't sleep after seeing the face. I just lay there, staring at the corner until the first hints of grey daylight seeped through the curtains. Even then, I kept expecting the smile to reappear, stretching wider and wider until it split my world in half. By morning, the footprint-shaped stains on the floor had dried to a dull brown. I told myself they were just watermarks, but the truth sat heavy in my chest. Water doesn't smell like copper. All day, I tried to keep myself busy, homework, helping Mom unpack boxes, even watching TV with Dad, but my eyes kept flicking to the corners of the room, the shadows under the furniture, the dark spaces beneath the stairs. They all felt occupied. That night, I didn't move my bed back against the wall, but I pushed my dresser in front of the door. I told myself it was just so I could sleep without worrying about it swinging open again. At 2:13 a.m., the scratching started. Only this time, it wasn't coming from the walls. It was coming from above me. I froze, my eyes locked on the ceiling. The sound was faint at first, a slow drag, like fingernails across plaster, but then it grew louder, closer, moving directly over my bed. The ceiling itself seemed to bow ever so slightly, as if something heavy was crawling across it on the other side. Then came the whisper. Not from the walls this time, but from right above my head. Still here. I bit my tongue to keep from making a sound. My lamp wouldn't turn on, just like the last time. I clutched the blanket so hard my fingers cramped. The scratching stopped. Silence swelled in the room, thick and unbearable. And then, with a soft, wet tearing noise, a crack began to split open in the plaster above me. Something pale pushed through. At first, I thought it was a hand. But the fingers were too long, the joints bending the wrong way, the nails thin and sharp like splinters of glass. They groped the air blindly, feeling for something, feeling for me. I couldn't scream. Couldn't breathe. The hand retreated slightly, and in its place, a face pressed against the crack. It was the same face from the corner. Only closer. Much closer. And it was smiling. Marks. When I woke, the house was silent. No footsteps in the hallway. No scratching in the walls. The sunlight leaking through the curtains looked pale and washed out, like it had been strained through dirty water. I sat up slowly, half expecting to see the crack in the ceiling open again. It was closed. Perfect. Smooth. As if nothing had ever been there. But my arms hurt. At first, I thought it was just from sleeping curled up all night. Then I pulled back my sleeve. For long scratches ran from my elbow to my wrist. Not deep, but too straight, too deliberate to be from my nails. The skin around them was faintly red, and when I touched it, a shiver shot down my spine. I didn't tell my parents. I didn't want the same tired smile Mom always gave me. Instead, I wore a hoodie to school, even though the air outside was heavy and humid. Owen noticed. He always noticed. At lunch, he leaned closer and whispered, "They touched you, didn't they?" I froze. What? He didn't repeat it. Just stared at my sleeve like he could see through it. Then he slid something across the table, a scrap of folded notebook paper. I opened it after he walked away. 3 words, written in shaky pencil. Don't be alone. That night, I tried to stay awake again. Not because I wanted answers anymore, but because I didn't want to close my eyes and wake up with new marks. The house felt different after dark, more awake, like it was listening. Every time I shifted in bed, the floorboards creaked softly, almost like they were answering. 2:13 a.m. came. No scratching. No whispers. Just silence. Then, something brushed against my ankle under the blanket. I kicked, heart pounding, but nothing was there. I gripped the blanket tighter, pulling it around me, breathing hard. A minute later, the same touch came again. This time, it didn't move away. Fingers, cold, thin, and too many of them, curled gently around my leg. And a voice, right beside my ear, whispered, "Mine."